Alright everyone, if there was any doubt that Elizabeth Warren shouldn't be taken too seriously as a presidential contender, now we pretty much have confirmation. This is basically what I predicted, that she would, at some point she'd get torpedoed. I think she's done it largely to herself. Like, her past self decided she shouldn't be president, and so in 1980 decided to take her bar exam certificate and sign off Native American for the ethnicity. Yeah, that's not going to be a problem for someone who's running in the Democratic Party against 5 people that are all minorities. That's not going to be a problem whatsoever, Miss Warren, for a rich career politician who already doesn't have that much support. What's she at? 3 or 4% of Democrats want her to be the nominee. I bet it'll be half that in a week. I bet the next time you conduct the poll, she'll barely register because of this. It's a major thing. If you're running in the Democratic Party, yeah, you've got to be walking on eggshells when it comes to ethnicity or gender or anything like that. To have something like this is akin, basically, it's even from the same exact year as like the Attorney General of Virginia when he says, yeah, I wore blackface in 1980. Don't worry, it was at a rap sort of expedition or something like that. Exhibition. He was a big Grandmaster Flash fan, as I said. I think he would have preferred Vanilla Ice, honestly. But I mean, Elizabeth Warren, how can we take her candidacy seriously when she's going to have... before she hasn't even announced. She's got an exploratory committee that's looking into, testing the waters and doing polling, talking to people who could raise funds, donors, philanthropists, and so forth. Talking to the DNC, I'm sure, in closed-door meetings. She's doing all that stuff, and then this hits her like a fucking freight train. And again, it trends worldwide for 24 hours. That's going to turn off a lot of would-be Elizabeth Warren voters, because people are like, well, I want a female candidate. They got several others to choose from. They can choose Gillibrand, Kamala Harris, Tulsi Gabbard. Clinton could still theoretically get in, although Podesta swears up and down she's made up her mind pretty much not to. It'd be really interesting to see Elizabeth Warren get up on a debate stage with people who will crucify her for the fact that she claimed to be Native American. Remember, though, it's not a big surprise, because we already knew that back during that same era she was submitting fake, Cherokee recipes to a cookbook, pretending, basically she wanted to be a contributor. She wanted her name in the book, probably. So she's like, oh yeah, here's my Native American recipe for crab cakes. This landlocked tribe and made really good seafood. Yeah, I'm calling your bluff. I don't think that those are actually Cherokee recipes. If they are, they've been anglicized to an incredible degree. Like, oh yeah, the original is like corn cakes or something. By the way, add plenty of mayo. It's really authentically Cherokee. I mean, come on, dude. Get a life. I sit to myself and think sometimes, like, how can people be this dumb? These people, they have high-level degrees, they got like master's degrees and PhDs, and they're entrusted to like make policy that affects millions or tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people, and they do dumb shit like this. And she didn't think that this was possibly going to become an issue if she ran a presidential campaign. By the way, who dug up the actual bar certificate? I'm not sure who broke the story. I was staring him in the face the whole time. It looks like a new avenue of attack, a new vector of attack for the current crop of Democratic politicians. Really is just looking back through their schoolship. Their yearbooks, their paperwork and things, the essays they wrote. Remember with Bernie Sanders, it was his rape poem there. And by the way, I don't like Bernie Sanders, would never vote for him, because I think he's a screwball. But if you actually read the entire poem, it's actually feminist poetry. It's not an attempt to actually insinuate that Sanders is into raping people. It's actually the exact opposite. It's sort of just the opening lines. People parrot the first 4 lines of it as though that's the whole poem. And it's like, oh, a man makes passionate love to his wife. She's fantasizing about being, being raped by several people simultaneously, or some weird shit like that. It's like, it looks bad out of context. Context matters, trust me. Any YouTuber will tell you the fucking same thing. Elizabeth Warren is screwed when it comes to any presidential ambitions. Hell, she probably couldn't even regain her slot in the Senate at this point with this hanging over her head. Isn't she up for re-election? Well, no, in 6 years. She ran against Shiva, I believe. In her particular in her state. So yeah, she'll probably die in office because 75, probably doesn't run again anyway. Even though these people have a stubborn tendency to stick in there until they're in their 80s or sometimes their 90s. What was Strom Thurmond? How old was he when he finally like retired or kicked the bucket? Wasn't he close on 100? He could barely talk or anything. It's sort of like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Oh my God, we got a picture of her, but you can't see it, by the way. I thought that was very, very funny. Right before the State of the Union, no less. She wasn't there, but she had the energy to go to a play or a musical concert or wherever she supposedly went. Thought that was really, really funny. Yeah, she's too sickly to go to the State of the Union and sit there and not have to do anything, but she can walk around this fucking theater all day in the darkened back corner. Very funny. Now, Elizabeth Warren's done for her. She's not going to become the president. That's a guarantee. She almost certainly doesn't become the nominee. And if she gets out, and she might, if she's wise, she'll say, okay, well, I'm folding. It's not my turn. Then Biden probably gets in. Because that would have been his major obstruction, is another, basically, classically neoliberal candidate, corporate liberal, big name recognition, potentially big corporate cash. He would have had to have fended her off mainly. The only other person he has to do that now to if he gets in is like Gillibrand. The thing is, Gillibrand doesn't have anywhere near Joe Biden's chops when it comes to name recognition. Even if she's better spoken, even if she's 20 years younger, even if she actually would technically be viable and he wouldn't be, he has that money behind him. It's really the Democrats' problem at this point is having too much money and too many corporate backers. It makes it impossible for the smaller, like the grassroots candidates, to gain any traction unless they want to pull an Obama. And of course that is possible. It's possible as, Kamala Harris out of nowhere. It's going to be a great time. Yeah, and then you lose against Trump in 2020. That's about all. Peace out.